So, got some pretty difficult news coming out of Phoenix Labs. And it's something I was kind of worried about for quite some time, and I was even more worried about it following the delay of the Season 2 update. When I was doing my research on my letter to the Dauntless developers video, which I released a week or so ago, when looking at the concurrent player base for Dauntless as well as the player feedback, I found the numbers to be very alarming. And I'll admit back then when I was making that video, I couldn't see a way forward. I couldn't imagine how it would be sustainable for the dev team moving forward. So what is this update and where did it come from? Because currently it's not been shared on the official Dauntless social media platforms. Well, it's first brought to my attention on the official Dauntless Discord, where it's stated, "Dear Slayers, we want to take a moment to share some incredibly difficult news. Earlier today, the majority of the development team was impacted by significant reductions at Phoenix Labs. This has been a heartbreaking decision for us, and we are deeply saddened for the talented individuals who are affected. We know you have many questions about what this means for Dauntless and its future, and while we don't have all the answers at this time, we are committed to keeping you informed and will share updates as soon as we can. Your support means the world to us, and we are truly grateful for this incredible community. Thank you for standing with us during this challenging time. Sincerely, the Phoenix Lab team." So naturally this has been met with a huge response on Discord and has spreaded its way onto other media platforms such as X. Here we can see another post from Phoenix Lab which states, "Today is another difficult day at Phoenix Labs. We have made the tough decision to part ways with the majority of the studio as part of an unfortunate but necessary changes to our operations. We recognise and deeply appreciate the contributions of every individual impacted. Their talents, dedication and their creativity have left an incredible mark on our company and our games. We will share more details in the coming weeks about what this means for Dauntless and Fae Farm. For now, our focus is on supporting those affected through this transition. To our industry peers, we encourage you to reach out to these exceptional individuals. They are some of the best in the business." And naturally in response to this, media sites such as MMORPG.com have shared articles already exploring this. In this article you can see by MMORPG they've stated that Phoenix Labs confirms it's laid off the majority of the studio, and the future of Dauntless and Fae Farm is to be addressed. They go on to state that Phoenix Lab confirmed that the unfortunate but necessary changes as the studio lays off the majority of employees. What this means for Dauntless and Fae Farm isn't clear yet, but the company has plans to address this in the future for the two games in the coming weeks. The announcement was made via a post on the company's LinkedIn page, just one more painful announcement in a struggling industry. The team, after a long delay, announced in late August that Dauntless The Awakening would have a PC closed beta in September, before a full release on all platforms. The update wasn't a mere update, but it was intended to overhaul the game, improve the armor system, add new features, revamp the battle pass and add more behemoths, and a revamped monetization system. Response to much of the update was that it was a disastrous series of moves. Not only the loot boxes, but some of the systems were broken. There was a lot of criticism of paywalls and barriers, and a lack of customization. In addition to criticism of the armor changes, initially the team defended some of their changes before eventually changing course and vowing to regain the trust of the community. But by that time, the harsh criticism and the review bombing had grown. I'm not sure exactly what the future holds for Dauntless at this point, but unfortunately, more developers are now looking for new positions in a difficult time. We have another article from Game Developer which puts more emphasis on the parent company who took over Phoenix Labs a couple of years ago, Forte Labs. They state that Phoenix Labs lays off the majority of the studio 2 years after Forte Labs' acquisition. The Dauntless and Fae Farm developer says the layoffs are unfortunate but necessary. Dauntless and Fae Farm developer Phoenix Lab has laid off a majority of its workers 1 month after releasing a poorly received update to the former title as part of its Steam launch. The company announced the move in a post on LinkedIn saying that today is another difficult day for the studio. It added that the decision was part of an unfortunate but necessary changes to its operations. They go on to state that today's layoffs came a few months after the game developer reported on turmoil at the studio after the 2023 acquisition by blockchain firm Forte Labs. Former Phoenix Labs employees told us that the new parent company instituted a culture of strict secrecy, cutting off communication between the team and going so far as to seamlessly conceal its ownership of the developer from the prospective employees. Shortly after our reporting, Phoenix Labs launched its flagship monster hunting game Dauntless on Steam, only to be criticised by its players for its new in-app monetization design and erasing previous progression with the new Awakening update. The game still has an overwhelmingly negative number of reviews on Steam. The poor reception of the update may have dented the company's fortunes at the end of 2024, making today's layoffs more likely. According to SteamDB, the number of concurrent players spiked briefly at about 3,200 when it first launched on Steam, but it steeply declined in the days after. Today the game is only averaging between 130 to 160 concurrent players on a given day. Phoenix Labs continued to support Dauntless, but also spun up other teams to work on games like Fairy Farming Simulator Fae Farm and the now cancelled dragon-themed crafting survival game codenamed Project Dragon. Along with other games ultimately cancelled in 2024, many of these projects were spun up under the then parent company Singaporean publisher Garena. The company let go of over 160 employees before the massive layoff in the months since the acquisition by Forte Labs. In that time, its new owner reportedly pressed developers to draft methods for integrating blockchain technology in its game for the purposes of buying and selling and trading in-game goods. According to former employees who spoke with game developer, no blockchain games or game mechanics had been publicly revealed by Phoenix Labs. As I stated before, I ran the numbers a few weeks ago and I found it very concerning, and I wondered how it would be sustainable moving forward, and I think this is a clear sign that it's not. Currently, I feel it's unfair to speculate at this point in time when there's so many employees at Phoenix Lab who are now without work or their livelihood. However, I stand by my thoughts in that there was many aspects of the Awakening update that were very positive. You can see that the heart and soul of many of these devs went into making this update, and I think it's probably fair to say that the blame lies with Forte Labs for the impact and all the influence they've had towards the development of this update. It's a real shame, I said it at the time, many of these armours, weapons, many of the new aspects were very great. I feel like they were changed at last minute. For example, the canister system I felt was very much out of place. It was something that was thrown in at the very last minute to drive as much income as possible. And I think it is difficult to speculate at this point, but it's probably clear to see that Forte Labs is responsible for sabotaging the game. Now, some of these headlines make it seem that only some of the development team have been laid off. However, my insider sources have told me that it's the entire Phoenix Lab team. I trust these to be very reliable sources, and if this is true, then it pretty much means the end for Dauntless. I can imagine in the very near future we're probably going to get an update stating that the Dauntless servers will be pulled offline. There is another chance that they keep the lights on and the servers stay online, but with all the talent now being removed from Phoenix Lab, it would essentially just be a money pit. It would be an online server with no new additions in any way whatsoever, simply a game where you can put your money in for skins and other pointless additions. Now, this is devastating news for me for sure. I've played Dauntless essentially from the very beginning. I've made many wonderful friends. I've formed my entire online community surrounding Dauntless. But that all pales in comparison to the numerous developers who've now lost their jobs and their livelihood, and it's something I'm very sympathetic about, because I can imagine many of the aspects of the Awakening update which you may not have liked, such as monetization, did not come from them. This screams parent company, this screams profit, and I can imagine Forte Labs are the ones which are responsible for this. Monetization is essential in a game like Dauntless, however, they went about it wrong, and this is the results. But that'll about do it for today. I'll be sure to keep you informed of any new updates, and until next time, see you later.